When your cat sits at the edge of your bed and just stares at you while you sleep, do you know what's actually happening in that moment? Most people assume it's creepy, weird, or just typical cat behavior. But what your cat is doing goes far deeper than you think. It's one of the most misunderstood signals in the entire cat-owner relationship. And if you've been ignoring it or laughing it off, you're missing something that could change how you see your cat forever. Let's break down what's really going on when those eyes lock onto you in the dark. 1. They're standing guard over you. Why does your cat choose to watch you specifically when you're at your most vulnerable? Think about it. During the day, you're moving, talking, reacting to your surroundings. You're alert. But the second you fall asleep, everything changes. To your cat, you've entered a defenseless state. And here's what most people don't realize. Your cat's instinct in that moment isn't to relax, it's to protect. In the wild, cats are both predators and prey. They understand that sleep is when attacks happen. So when your cat sits there watching you, they're not being weird. They're running surveillance. They're scanning for movement, listening for sounds, making sure nothing creeps up on you while you're down. Researchers have observed that cats in multi-animal environments are significantly more likely to position themselves between their sleeping owner and the door. That's not random. That's strategy. Your cat has turned your bedroom into a territory, and you're the most important thing in it. So next time you wake up and see those glowing eyes staring at you from the foot of the bed, just know this. You're not being watched, you're being protected. 2. They're monitoring your breathing patterns. Ever notice how your cat doesn't just glance at you and look away? They sit there for minutes, sometimes even longer, completely still, just watching. That's because they're not watching your face. They're watching your chest. Cats are incredibly sensitive to rhythm and movement. When you're asleep, your breathing becomes the loudest signal in the room, at least to them. And your cat has learned to read it like a language. When your breathing is slow and steady, they know you're deep in sleep and everything's fine. But if your breathing shifts, if it gets faster, irregular, or stops for even a second like it does with sleep apnea, your cat notices immediately. A study from the University of Tokyo found that cats can detect changes in their owner's respiratory rate and will often respond by moving closer or vocalizing. They're not just staring, they're checking in. And if your breathing suddenly changes, that might be why your cat sometimes wakes you up for no apparent reason. It wasn't random. They sense something off. 3. They're trying to sync their schedule with yours. Cats are naturally crepuscular, meaning their peak activity times are dawn and dusk. Here's the thing. When a cat bonds with a human, their internal rhythm starts to shift. They begin adapting their schedule to match yours, even if it goes against their biology. And watching you sleep is part of that process. When your cat sits there staring at you in the middle of the night, they're often waiting. Waiting for you to wake up, waiting for you to move, waiting for the moment you become available again. Because to them, you're the center of the household routine. You control the food, the play, the interaction. Everything starts when you wake up. So they watch and they wait and they learn. Over time, your cat begins to recognize the signs that you're about to wake up. The shift in your breathing, the small movements, the change in your body language, they start to anticipate it. And that's why sometimes you'll open your eyes and your cat is already staring at you, like they knew you were about to wake up before you did. Because they did. 4. They're drawn to your vulnerability. This one's going to sound strange, but stay with me. Cats are attracted to stillness. In the wild, a motionless animal is either hunting or hurt. Either way, it gets attention. When you're awake, you're loud, unpredictable, constantly moving. But when you sleep, you become the stillest thing in the room. And to a cat, that stillness is magnetic. It's why they stare at walls, at corners, at shadows. They're wired to notice what doesn't move. And when you're asleep, you fit that profile. But it's more than just instinct. There's a psychological component too. Cats are known to be more affectionate and more curious around people who are calm, quiet, and non-threatening. And there's no version of you that's calmer than when you're unconscious. You're not making sudden movements, you're not talking, you're not reaching for them. You're just there. And for a cat, that's the safest, most approachable version of you that exists. So they come close. They sit. They stare. And they take in this rare moment where you're not in control. It's one of the few times they get to observe you without you observing them back. 5. They're reading your emotional state even while you sleep. You might think your cat can't tell how you're feeling when you're asleep, but you'd be wrong. Cats are masters at reading microexpressions, body language, and even the chemical signals you give off. And all of that continues while you're unconscious. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol. When you're anxious, your heart rate increases. When you're dreaming, your muscles twitch and your eyes move under your lids. Your cat sees all of it. A study published in Animal Cognition showed that cats can distinguish between different human emotional states based on facial expressions and vocal tone. But they don't need you to be awake to pick up on your emotional baseline. They can read it in how you sleep. If you toss and turn, if you breathe heavily, if you clench your jaw or curl into a ball, your cat is taking notes. And depending on what they sense, they might move closer, start purring, or even gently paw at you. It's not random comfort. It's a response to what they're picking up from your body. And here's the part that might surprise you. Some cats will refuse to leave your side if they sense you're unwell, even if you don't know it yet. There are countless stories of cats who started obsessively watching their owners sleep, only for that person to later discover they had an illness, infection, or hormonal imbalance. Your cat wasn't being paranoid, they were detecting something real. 6. They're guarding their bond with you. Cats don't form bonds the way dogs do. They're not pack animals, they don't follow a leader. They choose their people based on trust, safety, and emotional connection. And once that bond is formed, they protect it. When your cat watches you sleep, part of what they're doing is reinforcing that bond. They're reminding themselves that you're still there, still safe, still theirs. Because in their world, relationships aren't guaranteed. They're maintained. And one of the ways they maintain it is through presence. By sitting near you, watching over you, staying close even when you're not interacting, they're telling themselves and telling you that this connection matters. It's also why cats who have experienced loss or abandonment are more likely to exhibit this behavior. If your cat came from a shelter, was rehomed, or lost a previous owner, they might watch you sleep more than other cats. Because they've learned that the people they love can disappear, and watching you is their way of making sure that doesn't happen again. 7. They feel safest when you're asleep. Here's the final piece, and honestly, it might be the most meaningful one. Cats are hyperaware animals. They're constantly scanning for threats, listening for danger, staying alert. It's exhausting. But when you're asleep, something interesting happens. The house goes quiet. The chaos stops. And your cat finally gets a chance to let their guard down. Because they trust you. When you're awake, you're unpredictable. You move around, you make noise, you bring change into the environment. But when you sleep, you become a constant. A safe, warm, predictable presence that doesn't demand anything. And in that stillness, your cat can finally relax. So when they sit and watch you, they're not always on high alert. Sometimes they're just soaking in the peace. They're enjoying the calm. And they're reminding themselves that this space, this person, this bond, it's the safest thing they have.